This is what's great about sports. This is what the greatest thing about sports is. You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game.
Winning isn't everything, but it's the only thing. In our business, there is no second place. Either you're first or you're last.
Ain't this what they've been waiting for? You ready?
And now, the W with Walls and the crew.
Good morning.
Where winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. On 100.1 FM.
Good morning.
And Facebook Live.
Good morning. Good morning. Right back like we never left. Another Saturday morning with the W Show, Kansas City, talking sports and pop culture. You're listening to the W Show on 100.1 FM, One Kansas City Radio. Watching us live on one of our social media pages. If this is your first time checking us out, we appreciate you. Thank you for making us a part of your day. My name is Steve Walls, and as always, I'm joined by the other host of the show, Jazz and Noel. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
How is everyone?
It's wonderful.
You say that because you happy it's like Dallas, Texas weather the past few days, huh?
Yeah. Global warming is real, apparently. It's December and we're getting 70-degree weather.
It's been, if you can think back to your childhood, I'm sure it was a few Decembers that it was about 70 degrees. You think? Can you remember any?
I mean, I have a hard time remembering what I ate last week. So you asking me to remember my childhood that's a no-go. It's a no-go, man. It could have been. It totally could have been. I have no idea though.
Jazz, how was your week?
It was good. It went by fast. But yeah, I'm enjoying the weather and I'm happy to be here.
Q, good morning, man. How are you?
Good morning. What's going on?
Man, you know, I hope it gets to 70 today. We were talking about those 70-degree days we had. I know you had the cutoff shirt and the tank top rolling out all week, huh? No?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, you did? So let's get to today's headlines. Coming up on today's show, the Denver Broncos versus the Kansas City Chiefs. The game has been flexed to Sunday Night Football tomorrow for Week 13, and we'll most definitely give our thoughts on that game and give our thoughts on the current NCAA coaching carousel. So some big moves have happened this week with Lincoln Riley and Noah's guy, Brian Kelley, and we'll give our thoughts on that. And coming up in a few minutes, we'll talk Major League Baseball in its first lockout since 1990. Can you guys believe that? I can't for sure.
Yeah.
And coming up in about 30 minutes, we'll have our sneakers of the week. Let's get to today's headlines.
And now, here are the biggest sports headlines from this week. We bring them to you every Saturday morning on the W with Walls and the crew on 100.1 FM and Facebook Live.
The Denver Broncos versus the Kansas City Chiefs game has been flexed to Sunday Night Football tomorrow for Week 13. The Chiefs are currently coming off a 4-game winning streak after defeating the Dallas Cowboys 19-9, and now they're coming off a bye week, rested and ready to go. Steve, you spoke to Chiefs QB Patrick Mahomes on Wednesday. Let's hear what he had to say first.
Patrick, people always talk about how good Andy Reid is after a bye. What have you taken from him as far as like study habits or things like that you've added to your game?
Yeah, I mean, you go back, you look at the tape, and you evaluate yourself, obviously, and then you try to get a little bit of a jump start on the team that you're playing. And we have an AFC West opponent, so we studied him a little bit in the offseason as well. So just having a good game plan, and Coach Reid gets that extra week, he really comes up with some nice plays. And, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just about going out there and executing, and we just seem to do a great job of that after a bye.
We heard Patrick talk about the question was that I got a chance to ask him was about Andy Reid. People talk about how good he is after a bye. I mean, he just doesn't lose. And what has Patrick learned from Andy, you know, whether it's study habits, some things that Andy takes from film that he watches, and he gave him a good explanation. However, I don't think people understand, like Patrick is the apprentice, right now still, until he gets to, I would say at least 30 years old, that he's been into the league 8-9 years, right? So while you're the apprentice, you're going to be learning a lot. You're going to be throwing a lot that's going to come your way. And I really feel like that Patrick is just soaking up everything like a sponge, and it's gonna pan out as he develops more into his career.
I would agree with that. Just because he plays like such a seasoned veteran, we don't realize he's only in year 4. Like this is actually unprecedented territory for him as a professional. He's never really had a season where it was, I won't say a struggle, but it was like, it's not, everything isn't smooth sailing on the offensive end. And so I think this can be a blessing in disguise come playoff time for the Chiefs. Having to go through this, having to, maybe adjust to a different playing style for Pat and for the rest of the team, just kind of having to, help him out. Because, we're not saying that, Patrick is the only one that's, balling for these Super Bowl seasons for the teams, but he has been the person that everybody has relied upon. And I think it's good to see, like, maybe him showing that he's mortal, and the rest of the team having to, pick up the so to speak slack. Yeah. And so I think this is a really good thing for the Chiefs. They're looking very good heading into this game. It's not going to be easy because it's a divisional opponent. The Chiefs have had a whole lot of success against Denver, but it's always a tough game when you're playing against a divisional rival. So I'm looking forward to this game actually to see how well the Chiefs respond. I expect them to win, but I would love to see a blowout. I would love to see them clicking on all cylinders. So
it's funny because Q got off here just in time because he's the type that'll say, all right, well, the team is they still don't look good. The offense still doesn't look good. Denver's defense, I understand all that, right? Like Denver does have a pretty good defense.
They have a really good defense. They do.
And the fact that the Denver Broncos are playing for first place is crazy to me. Like we look at last year, and I know you guys kill me all the time because I talk highly about Drew Lock. And now that they've gone away from Drew Lock and have put Teddy Bridgewater at the helm, they're doing good. So now it's like, oh, well, Drew Lock was the reason that these Denver Broncos was not doing good. No, that was not the reason. They've added a bunch of pieces. They've won some games, some games that a lot of people thought
head scratchers.
Yeah, like Dallas.
Thought
Denver was going to go out there and beat Dallas, and we talked about it earlier this week. No, it's like, all right, they go out there and beat Dallas, and then they come back next week. It's like, all right, what are you doing? So they've had an up and down season, and this game is going to be crazy at Arrowhead. I really believe that the fans are going to come in. They're going to pack the parking lot early, and they're going to make it tough for Denver to come in there and do what they want to do.
Your thoughts, Q, on the game tomorrow against the Denver Broncos?
It's one of those rivalry games. It could be crazy. The Broncos have a capable team. I'm just not sure that they're gonna be able to keep up with the Chiefs at home. Being a division game, just like the Raiders game, it can be a toss-up game. I'm just not sure that they can stop the Chiefs rolling on this 4-game win streak, especially with what they have right now as a unit. If this was the Broncos maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, we may be talking like a different tune. But I feel like Chiefs fans will be victorious, and this won't end up being that game, that Jamal Charles fumbled at the end of the game to lose it. And that's, Jamal Charles had a lot of good memories as a Chief, but it was like that one last one, it really just left a sour taste in fans' mouth. But I don't think that happens this week. If this game was in Denver, it may be a chance to be an upset, but I don't think Denver plays the spoils for the Chiefs this year.
And it's funny. It's funny because to me, I think that the Broncos are more of a rivalry game than the
Raiders.
Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah,
I really believe that. I mean, it just from being a Kansas City and through, it's just like going out there to Arrowhead back in the 90s, early 2000s, where Denver really ran the AFC, right? Like the John Elway days,
yes,
Terrell Davis, those days,
Terrell Davis, yeah.
They really ran the AFC, and it's like, man, they during that time, Kansas City Chiefs fans hated Denver. I mean, I can remember that Monday night game with it was Derek Thomas and Neil Smith. I believe it rained that night. I can't remember. It was 93, and it was like one of those 20 penalty games or something crazy like that. But that developed that rivalry, and I think this is more of a rivalry, like I said, than the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah. I would agree with that. And plus, like, if you've ever been to Denver, that altitude, it's nothing to play with. Like, it's actually quite awful. Like, you don't want, like, playing a sport in that. I can't even imagine. So it's just a hard place to play. So that's definitely the rivalry, I would say, in the AFC West for the Chiefs.
Now, USC lures Lincoln Riley away from Oklahoma in a stunning move. Originally, they thought that he was going to LSU, but shocker.
I mean, where would you rather live?
Clearly, Oklahoma. Like,
no, not Norman. Out of those three, not Norman, Oklahoma. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, I know I would. But this is a classic shift of coaching power in the NCAA. And it's reported his contract will be, upwards of $110 million. And also it was reported that USC is buying both his homes in Norman for $500,000 over the asking price, which is a $1 million bonus. And then buying a $6 million home in LA for him. Unlimited use of the private jet 24/7 for family.
That's the one that I was like, yeah.
And it makes him this would make him, if everything is correct, this would make him the highest paid coach in college football. So that's really a no-brainer. And you're going to a team, and I know Q will elaborate on it a little bit more, but you're going to a USC team that back in the day was legit until they had some turmoil. And so I think this is a good move for him.
Yeah, ever since Pete Carroll left, they've had issues, but it's in downtown LA. Like you have like everything at your fingertips. Like I saw somebody describe what it is to be part of the USC family. It's like, what don't you have there? You have the recruits. California is a great state for football.
Is it? I thought that was sexy.
We're a greater state, but that's also a great state for football. But you have all the resources, you have all of the money, you have all of the football knowledge. People who are smart are attracted to like programs like that. Like you kind of like how Lincoln Riley kind of came up. I mean, Bob Stoops kind of, groomed him to be the next guy. And so as he did, he's like, man, I'm a smart guy. Like I'm finna go out here to California and make this 110 million.
Right.
So it's the program, and it's time for it to circle back around to being great again.
Yeah, I know it's kind of tough to leave Oklahoma, especially with what he's built. As you said, him coming up under Bob Stoops. But yeah, USC is probably one of the 5 schools that you want to go to. You look at and we talked about it earlier this week on the meeting. But USC is one of those schools that can be in that 4, 5, 6 range of your top 5 dream schools to be at. and it was a no-brainer to leave. Again, you're trading in a middle of Oklahoma climate, to go to LA and also make the money. So yeah, it stunning in a sense, but I mean, who wouldn't take this job? And especially with a team, I believe USC is coming off all of their restrictions, especially from the Pete Carroll and Reggie Bush era. The suspension that they had, for so long, and it's time for that team to turn around. We've seen Sarkisian come through and not do anything. We've seen a couple of coaches come and do things, not really do anything out there with the program yet. And just even having that social capital right now, being in LA, it could really be a good USC team.
And it's funny because he was adamant on Saturday night when addressing rumors that he would become the next coach at LSU. And he told reporters, like, "Hey, I will guarantee you that I'm not going to be the next head coach of LSU." And I mean, at least he was forthcoming with that, So
yeah,
it is what it is.
Definitely.
Speaking of LSU, and another huge college coaching move, Notre Dame head coach Brian Kelley abruptly leaves for LSU, says the LSU Tigers football coaching job is too good to pass up. On Tuesday, he signed a 10-year, $95 million contract and left Notre Dame as the winningest head coach in program history.
Sheesh. Sheesh.
That's funny, too, because so dating back, I think it was November 22nd, Kelley addressed the possibility of leaving Notre Dame for another job. He said he kind of used the Mike Tomlin analogy where he said, unless a fairy godmother comes with a $250 million check, my wife would want to take a look at it first. I'd have to run it by her. So 8 days later, LSU announced they signed Kelley. So it's clearly a money thing. But with this, it opens up the ability for a black coach to be hired. And Notre Dame had officially announced the promotion of defensive coordinator Marcus Freeman, who's only 35 years old, to be the second black head coach in Notre Dame football history. So kudos to him. And if Brian Kelley would not have left, this would not have happened. And part of me wants to say, and I went and did a little research on this. So Brian Kelley, he did an interview, and I can't remember who it was with back in July. In an interview, said that I have a black defensive coordinator, and he will become a head coach in college football. And what happens? So part of me wants to think like, all right, they're going to offer me this contract. I've asked Notre Dame to extend my deal. I think it was reported he had like 2 or 3 years left on his contract. He wanted to extend and continue out, his coaching career at Notre Dame. And so when you slow drag your feet, as Notre Dame did, he's like, skip it. I got to have this young man that's a defensive coordinator who I've already said is qualified to be a head coach. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call up Marcus Freeman and say, hey, I'm going to make this move, and hopefully they'll, hire you. And I think that's what he did. Part of me wants to feel that way, but who knows what really happened on the back end.
No, and he could have been a champion for that coach, really stepping in. And if so, kudos to him for that. I just question how he would fit in LSU. He has raised up some programs over the past, maybe 15 years now. Yeah. Even dating back a little bit before Cincinnati, I believe. And so he's a guy that can definitely raise a program and create a culture, and especially a culture of change. But LSU, that's big shoes to fill, and you're coming behind Nick Saban, which is now going to be your rival. So, that could be a rivalry worth seeing soon.
But I think he's going to do a lot better than Coach O. And think about it, though.
Coach O won a championship, man.
Yeah, he did.
Coach O won a championship.
So if he loses 3 games 2 years in a row, if he loses more than 3 games, or if he loses 2 games, I think he's going to be out in the next couple of years. He has to win majority of his games. I mean, LSU is a winning program. We talked about USC. LSU is another one of those schools, right?
I was
2 games, he's out of there quick.
I was gonna say those. It's funny because both the Oklahoma and Notre Dame are like blue blood, high class programs, but they're like second tier compared to an LSU and a USC as far as Oklahoma is definitely below those schools. I mean,
I wouldn't say another tier. It's like 1A, 1B. I wouldn't say it's a lower tier, like it's Mid-American or something. I
said they're blue blood, they're high class, they're up there, but they're not an LSU. They're not a USC. Like those are the programs that win national championships. Notre Dame hasn't won a national championship in a very, very, very long time. Oklahoma, same thing. They dominate the Big 12 as far as football is concerned, but when it comes to the national stage, they haven't delivered like that. So I think it's so crazy that both of these coaches decided they upgraded as far as programs go. They upgraded because if you're going to ask me, I would much rather live in Baton Rouge than I would South Bend in Indiana.
No, definitely.
That's where Notre Dame is, right? I'm definitely going to take that over that. And same thing with Norman, Oklahoma, or Los Angeles. I'm taking the better place to live, honestly, and the more money.
And then you look at conferences in college because the Big 12 is on the decline. And you look at the Pac-12 that's been pretty strong really over the past 10 to 15 years, especially since the early 2000s. But even in the Pac-12, you play against schools like Oregon and UCLA. But then the same for LSU. Like you get to play against the Alabamas. You get to play against a very tough SEC schedule. And the Big 12 isn't it. Like the Big 12 is really lagging behind the ACC, the Big 12, and the Pac-10. So, the Pac-12. So it's just, it's tough.
And it's no coincidence that both these guys are repped by the same agent as well.
Oh, well, that's even better.
Wow.
Cha-ching for him as well.
He making money.
Now we're going to take a quick break. Coming up, we'll discuss Major League Baseball and first lockout since 1990. This is the W Show. We'll be right back.
You're tuned in to the W with Walls and the Crew, where winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. On 100.1 FM and Facebook Live.
Come spin with us, Kansas City. KC WeSpin 360 is the coolest 360 video spinner experience for events. KC WeSpin 360 is taking it to the next level. The 360 video spinner platform rental will be the life of the party. Everyone will be talking about their 360 video experience while bragging about it on their social media pages. The captivating slow motion and reverse effects will have your guests feeling like celebrities. The KC WeSpin 360 video spinner can capture slow-mo videos, GIFs, and boomerangs from every angle. Specializing in corporate events, weddings, social gatherings, bar bat mitzvahs, school events, and fundraisers, KC WeSpin 360 can be found online at kcwespin360.com. Come spin with us, Kansas City.
Don't be depressed, frustrated, or stressed because of the loss of a loved one. Golden Gate Funeral and Cremation Services is here to assist you with a smooth, stress-free transition. It doesn't matter how your loved one transitioned, we will offer you a memorable celebration to your liking. We are a family-friendly, full-service funeral home right here in the heart of the city, offering affordable cremations and package pricing and quality service. Call us when you need us. 816-231-GATE. That's 816-231-4283. There's only one Golden Gate, located at 2800 East 18th Street, Kansas City, Missouri. Exchanging your grief for a golden experience.
You're tuned in to the W with Walls and the Crew, where winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. On 100.1 FM and Facebook Live.
Remember to interact with our show. Use hashtag talk about it. Message us and we will talk about whatever topic you want. Now the MLBPA failed to reach a new labor agreement, and the league is in its first lockout since 1990. The Major League Baseball locked out its players early Thursday morning, certifying the game's first work stoppage in more than a quarter century. After months, talks yielded little progress towards a new labor contract. We will start with you.
I love it for MLB. I think what they're seeking to get from this lockout is a brand of camaraderie that's needed amongst NFL players. I really haven't looked in depth of what all they're asking for, and they probably haven't said much about exactly what it is. I think this is a negotiation that really might creep into the April-May months. And you would hope that these players get a significant win, because the bargaining agreement that the NFL players came up with 2 seasons ago, it was pretty disappointing to see. And I think with baseball, you see a lot more guys getting paid a lot more money, especially just like the NBA over the past, what was it, like 5 to 6 years. So
yeah, it's crazy now. The team, so the way this lockout is going to work too is like the team officials and players can't communicate in any way. So it's crazy, man. And the thing about it is, once there's a labor dispute between the Players Association and any major sport, there's always going to be that tension there in the middle. And now it's happened to where now it's become a lockout for Major League Baseball. And so what the real deal is the union wants a higher luxury tax threshold, which I believe they're asking for about $245 million. Instead, the league came in at $214 million. And also the union wants players to reach free agency more quickly, and for salary arbitration to come following a player's second season rather than his third. So they want, and in the end, it's to benefit the players. They want the players to be able to make more money. And I just, it's crazy that the league and the owners, they don't want to adhere to what the players ask. And if y'all can remember last season, in the midst of COVID, there were some back and forth between the MLBPA and the MLB about where the season should start, when it should start. And then Commissioner Rob Manfred came in and just imposed a 60-game season. And they're like, well, what's going on? So they had to play. And we went back and forth. We were like, well, no, they're not going to play. But they ended up playing because they didn't want to lose any money. So it's just, it's crazy how their things are moving in the MLB right now.
And a bunch of huge money shifts. And you look at it, because the TV deals surely are great, especially in baseball with how many games there are. But the tipping scales are going more towards the talent. You look at the NBA, and we even go back to the Taylor Rooks conversation last week.
Which one?
With Candace Parker. No, with Candace Parker. And she just talked about how the NBA really empowers their players. And Major League Baseball is not that. Like we're still having the bat flip discussion every season. So it's just not a sport that's very progressive. And I think that's what the players are seeking in this next agreement, is really just being more progressive. And baseball is a sport that could use that, especially looking at how soccer is really about to take over baseball. You look at it from the men's and the women's side, and baseball is just a dying culture that might be about 10 to 15 years ahead of the NFL as far as like a sport that's dying. But the NFL is really more for concussions and the different damages it leaves on your body. But the MLB is just not fun, and especially for viewers, and then probably for some players, especially those players that come from the Caribbean and Japan, where you can celebrate, you can bat flip, you can, it's a lot less, a lot more lax than what the American baseball culture is.
Yeah, and it's in the league. They came out and said the lockout is necessary because the Players Association vision for Major League Baseball would threaten the ability of most teams to be competitive. I mean, I don't see it that way. You need some young guys, like you said, Q, you need those young guys, those Francisco Tatis Juniors,
you need those
the
guys.
Mookie Betts. You need those guys. You can remember back when Eric Osmer, everybody wanted the Eric Osmer like Mohawk deal. You need that type of stuff for baseball, and you would think that baseball would kind of leapfrog the the NFL, because you can see players' faces. Like, you can see them. A lot of people are, don't even know Frank Clark when he walks down in the mall, because he has a helmet on. So those players you would be able to see, and I think baseball, like you said, Q, needs to step it up.
Yeah, and baseball is one of those sports that it's a lot more intimate than the NFL, and especially when it comes to fan player engagement, and it's a lot more lax. You don't see people running on the baseball field streaking like often. I'll say that, but that's just the culture of baseball. Like, those rabid fans are not at the stadiums.
So it's rigid. It's very rigid.
Basically, in layman's terms, it make it a lot less corporate.
Yeah, it's very rigid. It's a rigid sport.
Yeah.
Now, Candace Parker says, I won't waste my time with Team USA. On Tuesday, she spoke with Turner Sports' Taylor Rooks on her feelings about USA basketball, and she didn't hold back. Let's hear what Candace had to say about her relationship with USA basketball.
Talk to me about your relationship with USA basketball.
I don't have one. I don't have one. I'm happy for them. When Chelsea and especially Nafisa Collier are my two that I'm really close with. I don't have one. And I think it goes from the fact that I think that when you evolve with time, that's when you're at your best. And I don't know if USA basketball has continually evolved with time. And then also, I also believe that there are so many times where just tell me, and then I won't waste my time. Like, if that was the stipulations. And so I think it was very interesting for me personally to have a situation where I went to a camp, I got a triple-double at the camp, was, I think, first or second in scoring. Like, it wasn't on the court.
Yeah.
So if it's me as an individual, as a person, I'm spending time away from my daughter to come and do these camps that I'm not even being judged off of how I'm playing.
What do you think you were judged off of?
I don't think I personally fit. I don't think Gino wanted me on the team. So I think it's one of those things where it's like, cool, like, just tell me. And then don't, beat around the bush. Like, just tell people. And so I think now we're reaching a point where players are becoming more empowered. And I've said this about the NBA for a very, very, very long time. They started becoming, and I know the NBA has been a process, but when the way that they empower their players, where they have a voice, they have a say, they talk to them, they're honest with things. Like, the way in which they handle NBA basketball, USA basketball, like, there's some people it didn't matter. They were untouchable. Like, you know what I mean? And so I think that based off of, like, I knew as soon as he was named the coach again, I was like, oh, well,
so why,
this is going to be interesting.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think he did not want Candace Parker on the team?
I mean, he doesn't like me. I don't like him. I mean, we don't like each other. But I think I am of the mindset, and this is where I think sometimes I get misunderstood a little bit. I'm of the mindset that, like, I don't have to like you to play with you. I don't have to like you to work with you.
Yeah.
And it's fine. Like, it's cool. They made their decision. I laugh and joke that my kids will never play USA basketball or USA sports at all. But listen, it's a thing of the past.
Yeah.
A lot to unpack there.
It is. Yeah. It is. And if listeners and viewers don't know, Gino Ariama is the head coach of UConn, and also the head coach of Team USA. And so it goes back, back to when Candace Parker was in college at Tennessee, and it's like he's holding on to an old grudge. And I think it not only hurts the sport, but it hurts just women's sports in general. It's like you have this male figure that is holding one of the best WNBA, best basketball players in the world back from playing in world games. So it just sucks, man. And I hate to hear that, even that she feels that way, and that she's like, man, I'm not going to represent my country because this guy who I would work with him, but we clearly don't like each other. But he just doesn't want me on the team, which doesn't add up. It's like, man, sometimes, and what J. Cole say, pride is the devil.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is with him. It's like, man, I'm not going to let go of my pride. I'm going to, keep you off of this team, hold something against you that is back when you played in college, which was how many years ago? Wow. So
Candace Parker got in the league in 2008.
Yeah.
So it's been a while. There's no need for this. This is silly. I would love to actually hear his side of it, just to see how he would wiggle his way out of this, because I don't think Candace Parker is lying.
She's not.
I honestly believe 100% like what she's saying is, because it's right on brand for Gino. Unfortunately, he's a great college basketball coach. He's had great teams, all that good stuff. But when somebody kicks your butt and she's unapologetic about it, she's loud about it.
Yeah,
that can get at your pride, like Steve said. So I would love to hear his side. I want to hear what he has to say for himself. Like, what explanation is he going to give for at one time the best player and still one of the best players in the world? How is she not on Team USA? I mean, we know Team USA blows out every other team by 40 every single game. Right. We know Team USA basketball women's is far and ahead of the rest of the world. But come on. We're talking about Candace Parker here. Like, come on.
Yeah. And you talk about holding a grudge from getting your butt whooped so much. I mean, Steve can relate to that with Tom Brady, and how he so Steve can definitely relate. But yes, it's sad, and you would love to hear that from Gino. Like, you would love to hear his explanation, and his explanation we won't hear from him.
No. If we do it, he's gonna sugarcoat it.
Exactly. And it's the same thing with the Chiefs and letting go of Marcus Peters. Like, you would love to hear the reason for that, and the spiral that it caused for the defense, and especially over the last 3 or 4 years in this Chiefs defense. But yes, you won't hear anything from Gino because he's going to take the high road. And you hate that for the sport, because you would hope that they would hire a coach, and especially some coaches that are in the WNBA right now, to lead these ladies and select these ladies that can represent a team that the fans of the WNBA will want to see. And Candace Parker is definitely one of those players.
And that's why I even hate saying that he's taking the high road, is because I feel like it's like you, at that point, you have to put your pride aside and let the players play. And I think it's very obvious, whether it's like his pride, whether it's politics, whatever. But I just don't understand it. I don't see how you can let that type of relationship, a personal relationship, affect it even at that level. That's insane.
And as a coach, you can't do that. Like, as a leader of, like, this would be a leader of women, right? You can't do. Oh man, it looks bad on as you as a coach too, right?
That's why I feel like something is gonna come out from his side, just because she went directly at him. She didn't hold no punches. She said, "Look, I don't like him, and he doesn't like me."
Right.
And he's supposed to be the adult in the situation. He's supposed to be the leader. He's supposed to be leading by example. Like, hey, even if we don't like each other, okay, let's acknowledge that together. Hey, we don't like each other, but you know what? We're here to win a gold medal for our country. We're here to look good. We're here to play good basketball. So let's figure this out. And then we don't have to talk to each other outside of Team USA basketball. Exactly. I feel like that's an easy, especially when you have such a great team as the women do for basketball. I feel like that's so easy to just say, hey, let's just go kick some butt overseas and then come back. And we don't have to acknowledge each other other than the fact of, all right, we won this gold medal together. But I really would like to know what actually transpired on his end. So,
and some people use this as a teaching moment. What is he showing because he is a college coach. right?
Mhm.
What is he showing these 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds that are coming into his program? Oh, well, coach, why can't we hold a grudge? You're clearly holding one. What is he teaching them?
Mhm.
If
This is like
supposed to be a leader, what are you teaching?
this would be like Candace Parker is of the level of like a Kobe or LeBron isn't making Team USA.
Yeah.
This is literally what this is.
Yes.
So it's like Mike Krzyzewski would never, and she said it in the interview, that would never happen to anybody that's of her ilk, like who comes from her cloth. Like never in a million years would that happen. So we almost need an answer at this point as to what happened.
What Jordan say? I took that personally.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, Antonio Brown and 2 other players suspended for lying about vaccination. The accusations came originally against AB whenever his a personal chef, spoke out who he alleged owed money to. And originally they were saying that all the cards that were submitted were valid, but now they're going down. Steve, we'll start with you.
I'm going to put this out there. This is the elephant in the room, in social media, in the football world, or whatever. This is the main question what everybody's asking. Why is it Antonio Brown that's getting suspended? We understand it, but why didn't Aaron Rodgers get suspended as well? It's really the same thing. I mean, granted, there's a different level of it. Like you had a whole card, a fake vaccination card, which neither here nor there. They both said that they were vaccinated and they weren't.
Where was Aaron Rodgers' vaccination card is my question well.
And Aaron Rodgers got over on the premise of that he was immunized, and that's what he used. So yes, the difference in this scenario is that Aaron Rodgers didn't create a fake vaccination card, but on the flip side of that, the NFL and the Packers knew about him not being vaccinated the whole time. So yes, the elephant in the room is yes. How does Aaron Rodgers differ from these black players? And there's a line being drawn. And I think we spoke about it on the show when it was happening. But it all boils down of who you lied to. And the scapegoat is, oh, well, Aaron Rodgers just lied to the media. But
he lied to the public, though, like to fans, everybody.
He lied to everybody, but he also broke protocol, just like these players did. And that's what makes it so unfortunate, because we knew that the NFL was going to allow Aaron Rodgers to skate. Some NBA fans can say the same thing about LeBron. The NBA really just allows LeBron to skate, with different things, whether it's tampering or whatever it is. But it's not like you can really prove a lot of these things. On the flip side of it, we've seen Aaron Rodgers really just make a mockery of the whole process. And as far as condemning Antonio Brown and these other players, we really need to ask these questions of the NFL, because the NFL has these protocols in place, and clearly it's an easy workaround. You saw how they discipline players, for sneaking in girls in their warm-ups and things like that, but clearly the protocols are not efficient at all. And there's no verification process for the NFL as an organization to be so thorough. But how many times have we seen the NFL drop the ball? They suspended Ray Rice twice. And then we could even really go now when you look at it, the player a couple of weeks ago that was beating up his girlfriend on tape in front of his 5-year-old, and the energy they had towards him versus the energy they had towards Chad Wheeler, who was an unknown player. So the NFL definitely has an elephant in the room, and they just look very suspicious. But they make this statement that yes, we're gonna punish the black players a lot more harshly, and it's the same thing that happens in America. And you can go back to the response to Colin Kaepernick. So yeah, it's terrible.
Now we're going to take a quick break. Coming up, we'll have our Hate It or Love It segment, kick it off with our stickers of the week. This is the W Show. We'll be right back.
You're tuned in to the W with Walls and the Crew, where winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. On 100.1 FM and Facebook Live.
Come spin with us, Kansas City. KC We Spin 360 is the coolest 360 video spinner experience for events. KC We Spin 360 is taking it to the next level. The 360 video spinner platform rental will be the life of the party. Everyone will be talking about their 360 video experience while bragging about it on their social media pages. The captivating slow motion and reverse effects will have your guests feeling like celebrities. The KC We Spin 360 video spinner can capture slow-mo videos, GIFs, and boomerangs from every angle. Specializing in corporate events, weddings, social gatherings, bar bat mitzvahs, school events, and fundraisers, KC We Spin 360 can be found online at kcwespin360.com. Come spin with us, Kansas City.
Don't be depressed, frustrated, or stressed because of the loss of a loved one. Golden Gate Funeral and Cremation Services is here to assist you with a smooth, stress-free transition. It doesn't matter how your loved one transitioned, we will offer you a memorable celebration to your liking. We are a family-friendly, full-service funeral home right here in the heart of the city, offering affordable cremations and package pricing and quality service. Call us when you need us. 816-231-GATE. That's 816-231-4283. There's only one Golden Gate, located at 2800 East 18th Street, Kansas City, Missouri. Exchanging your grief for a golden experience.
You're tuned in to the W with Walls and the Crew, where winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. On 100.1 FM and Facebook Live.
Remember to interact with our show. Use hashtag talk about it. Message us and we will talk about whatever topic you want.
Hate it.
It's that time for Love It or Hate It.
Hate it.
If we love it, we talk about it. We hate it, we move on.
Starting off the sneakers of the week, we have the 500 Ash Grays.
Mm-hmm.
They all right.
These yours, ain't it, Jazz? These are what you was talking about these the other day.
Yep. I'll definitely rock them. For sure.
Just don't spill coffee on them.
Oh.
That's low. That's low.
That's low. You can count on me, though. Definitely count on me. The Air Jordan 1s.
Yes. Yes.
Like
1,000 times yes.
These are cool. I like
Yeah, I like the simplicity of these.
Yep. Me too.
The Swarovski Nike Air Force 1s.
Trash.
What'd you say?
I'm cool. I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, these is weird. I don't really, because it's like a hard
Can
plastic.
you snap that off? Can you snap the plastic off?
No, it looks like it. But for retail for $240 a piece, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
They should have came out with these when Michael Jackson was still alive. They may have had a chance.
Yeah, he would have went crazy in these.
All right. Yeah. Hard pass for me, though.
Very hard pass.
The G-Dragon Nike Quando.
What are these for?
I'm kind of low key feeling these.
Yeah, these are Steve's favorites of this week.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling like it's an Air Force One mixed with the classic Spectator shoe, mixed with the golf flap over the top. Yeah. I'm feeling these.
So this is a golf shoe?
This is a regular shoe.
Oh, it's a regular shoe.
Yeah, it's a regular shoe. Yeah, regular sneaker.
Nobody is going out being cool in golf swag. I'm sorry. As much as we want to try to, ride the Jordan Spieth, nobody is going to make the game of golf as cool as Tiger Woods did, and especially wouldn't be Jordan Spieth. But no, these are Steve, throw these in the trash, please.
What does Nike Kwando mean? I'm sitting here thinking like maybe they're for like martial arts. Like
No,
like what am I?
that sounds like some Rex Kwando type of parody. Like, no, these are trash. Get these out of my face.
Yeah, it's like, but the thing about it is, it's supposed to be like a melting pot of sports performance and formal wear. So,
okay. No, I see.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, you getting the classic sneaker. I mean, the classic like y'all remember the Spectators? Like, you wore them when you were a kid. You had them like it's walking shoes.
No,
so,
Spectator.
That's before your time. Wait a minute, no.
I was going to say, what is that?
Yeah, classic shoe. Either way, these I would definitely wear these. Sorry, I would.
Put them on your cycle bin.
You're out.
Make them look fly. Yeah, all right. I'm gonna show up to in LA with some of these, and y'all gonna be like, "Oh, them is nice." I'm like, "Yep."
No, we
the
won't.
Ones that y'all all shot down.
No, we won't. We would probably hope that you put on slides.
Pass.
Somebody's gonna have to turn your mama. Like, change your shoes before we leave the house.
I'm not standing next to you with those on.
Yeah, Steve, we can't let you get away with that, fam.
Like, picture me on the block.
No, that's the official social distancing shoe of 2021. No, thank you.
Man, them look like nurse shoes. That's what them look like. Anyways.
Lawmakers introduced a bill that bans bots ahead of the holidays. Hey, dude, I love it.
I love it. I love this.
Let's hope it works.
I really do. It's crazy because it's a similar bill that was introduced by, I think, the Democratic Party in 2019, but ultimately didn't reach the congressional vote. So one or two things is the reason for this to be happening. It's like, all right, reason one of the politicians wasn't able to grab their kiddos from an electronic game system or whatever, or two, they have their seat is coming up and they want to be reelected or something like that. So I just it's cool, if it works like Noel said, but I don't know. It seems kind of convenient. Why right now?
Yeah. Almost irrelevant. Almost. It's just kind of like you're grasping at straws, just trying to get any sort of reaction from. I mean, going after the youth, honestly, going after the younger folks that are voting.
Yeah, and it's crazy, and which makes me kind of proves my point. So the Senate Majority Leader, Charles Schumer, said the average holiday shopper is unable to compete with the light speed of the all too common Grinch bot, and are then held at ransom by scalpers and third-party resellers when trying to buy holiday presents. He said after a particularly trying year, no parent or American should have to fork over hundreds or even thousands of dollars to buy Christmas and holiday gifts for their children and loved ones. It is of the utmost importance that these Grinch bots are thwarted in their attempts to steal Christmas money from hardworking Americans.
That's a good spin right there. Yeah, they spent that.
Reelected, I'm telling you.
Yeah, that was a good spin. I almost believed it for a second. I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right.
And it's
like,
funny
maybe
for
he's
Chuck.
looking out for us sneakerheads. Like, come on.
Yeah, I don't think Chuck Schumer is looking out for that. But yeah, somebody wrote something nice for him to say.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Chicago and Miami will forfeit their next second-round draft picks following the NBA's investigation into the Lonzo Ball and Kyle Lowry sign and trade. Hated or love it.
I love it.
Mm-hmm. Worth it. If I'm the two franchises, worth it.
I mean, because you look at how Miami and Chicago is doing right now. I think they're 2-3 in the East.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you would trade that all the time. And we talked about like the second round picks. They haven't amounted to much over the past. I mean, there's a few that are outliers, but second round picks, you really, worth it.
Yeah, worth it for sure.
Black high school athlete transfers after white athletic director says he got his speed running from the police. Hated or love it.
Fire this man. I've decided I want this man fired. Because that's just too bad. That's just too blatant. It's too on the nose. Fire this man.
Fire him and take away his teaching license, because somebody that would joke like that definitely doesn't value any type of humanity in a black athlete, much less a student.
Let's hear the story courtesy of Pix 11 News, New York.
Tony Humphrey is no ordinary high school athlete. The 16-year-old Cortland, New York resident is an accomplished baseball player at Iona Prep in New Rochelle, a junior who's already been recruited by and committed to play for Boston College after he graduates. So striving to become a better player by joining the track team, that was a no-brainer for Tony.
Comes up to me and asks why I was doing track.
But an interaction he had this past Friday with one of the school's assistant athletic directors had the teen stumped and frankly furious.
I told him the same explanation I just told you. Just trying to get faster, it never hurts to gain speed. And he questioned, said, "Oh, aren't you already fast as is?" I go, "Yeah." And then he tells me that I gained that speed from running from the police. Or that's how I gained that speed.
You heard that and thought what?
That was racist. There was no reason for him to say that.
Yeah.
Get rid of him.
Get him out of here.
That's ridiculous. Like, because it's not even. Just get rid of him. I don't have nothing else to say.
Yeah. And the thing too, and I got to thinking, I'm like, if this would have happened in middle Missouri or in, let's just say, a media market that's not New York, would this have gotten any play, from anywhere? I don't think it would have.
I don't think so, but I think it may be a bigger story because it's probably a long list of racism that they've overlooked at this school. And I think with mid-Missouri, it may be more because they're probably hiding a lot more. But this is a prep school, so they probably have the money behind them to kind of suppress a lot of the noise that comes from this.
And the student even said that there were other incidents of racism.
Of course.
Freshman year. He took it up with higher ups and nothing happened to the other student.
Yeah. So imagine how that affects your mental health and also your play to get to the next level. So, yep.
It is. Suzuki matches home runs at Japanese high school after baseball team writes him a letter. Hate it or love it.
Love it. We love Ichiro. Love him.
Yeah. And I was thinking about this. So they take you guys back to high school, right? What's one player that, whether it's football or basketball or whatever, that you would have got together with your teammate and say, "Hey, let's write him a letter so he come to our school"?
Ken Griffey Jr., especially if it's baseball.
It would have probably been Kobe or LeBron, one of those.
It would have been who? Kobe, the second greatest player of all time. That's who it would have been. All right, cool. I'm happy.
Say Kobe or LeBron.
I'm happy to hear
one
that.
Of the two.
Jazz, you?
I mean,
mine, Kobe or LeBron, or mine would have been Skylar Diggins.
I would love to meet her as well. Yes,
I'm sure you would. Mine would have probably been MJ. Like, hey, let's write Jordan a letter. I mean, we all wanted to go to the Jordan camp. Remember they had that Jordan camp in Salina? Like everybody wanted to go, but it was like $1,000 or something. I'm like, can I afford that?
Can you can't even. What's crazy about that is you can't even imagine Jordan doing that. Like, you can't even imagine, like, you know what? I'm retired. I'm gonna just go pull up to this random high school because they wrote me a letter and like bust everybody's butt in one-on-one.
Right.
You can't even. He would never do that.
Now, Jim Harbaugh to give all bonus money to Michigan Wolverines athletic department staffers who had a pay cut due to COVID-19. Hate it or love it.
I love it. Yeah, love it. Yeah, he's making enough money, but it's not on him. It should be on the university to pay people a living wage. So yeah, it's ridiculous that a player or a coach has to dig into their pockets over an organization.
Mm-hmm.
UConn's Paige Buchers becomes first college athlete to sign with Gatorade and could earn $1 million in endorsement.
I love it.
Yes.
Love it for her.
Oh, definitely love it.
Go get it. Go get that bag.
Love it. Venus answering his half-sister slams King Richard. Biopic, those girls rose to the top while his children had to suffer. Hate it or love it.
Exactly. No, tell the truth. Tell the truth about this man. He might have raised two great daughters as far as tennis is concerned, but he left his other family behind, and you can't forgive that.
Yeah, you hate that for them, but I'm sure there's a lot more nuance to that. So,
And Kareem Hunt's dad throws Brown's offense under the bus on Facebook. Maybe you're
love it.
Yeah, keep being real. Keep being real.
Common denominator. Yeah, what is the common denominator in all of this?
It ain't Baker. All right, we appreciate everyone for joining in on the show today. We appreciate everyone who likes us and watches us from week to week, whether you're watching us on Facebook at the W Show KC or listening to us on 100.1 FM. Remember, you can catch a rewind of our show on Mondays on 100.1 FM, 1 Kansas City Radio, anytime on social media. Until next week, we are out of here.
The views and opinions expressed in the W Radio Show by the host, co-host, guests, and call-in listeners are solely the opinions and responsibility of the original source who expressed them. They do not represent the opinions of the W Show, 100.1 FM, 1 Kansas City Radio, Sideline Sports Talk, Team Wall Street Foundation, or affiliates.